3.5 years ago, I built a digital marketing agency from scratch. No connections, no clients, no proven system, just me figuring it out on the go. I scaled that agency to over $500,000 in monthly revenue. I built a team that could run it without me, and then I sold it in a multi-million-dollar deal. But here's the thing. The reason I sold it isn't what most people think. It wasn't because I was burned out or because the business was failing. It was a strategic move. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire journey. What made me want to sell, what I learned building it, and why selling your agency might be the smartest business decision you will ever make. So let's jump right into it. Hey, quick note, if you are an agency owner and you are stuck between $10,000 months or even $100,000 months and you want to build a scalable, sellable agency the exact same way that I did, we actually work with agency owners to implement the exact 7-step system that I used in my own agency. We handle everything from niche positioning to exit simulation so that you can build real enterprise value. All you got to do is click the first link in the description if you want to learn more. But first, let me tell you what I'm doing now. Back in 2020, I owned and was running 3 of my own gyms, and they were struggling. And then the pandemic hit, and overnight, all 3 of those gyms were completely shut down. So I pivoted to digital marketing at the time to try to save my gyms. And when they reopened about 90 days later, I started running my own ads to get new members in the door. And to my surprise, it actually worked. We bounced back. So naturally, other gyms that were in my network, they started reaching out to me asking, how was I getting new members? How did we rebound so fast after such a brutal time period? And so I walked them through what I was doing, and a couple of them asked me to help. So I started helping them out. And at that point, I had no connections, no clients, no systems. It was just me grinding it out, kind of figuring it out as I was going. And so I treated it like freelance work at the time. And then 2 gyms turned into 3, then 5. And I started making a little bit of money, but it still felt like it was all just a side hustle. And then I had a thought, what if I built systems around this business? What if I could get other people or hire other people to help me? Could I turn this into something repeatable, something that I can sell over and over again? And that was the first shift in my thinking, from thinking like a freelancer to an entrepreneur. And this is where a lot of agency owners completely stall out. They stay stuck thinking that it's either too expensive to hire people or too hard to systemize, unsure if they can really build something out. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was laying out a 7-step framework that I still actually use today. And it's focused on the following: niche positioning, scalable service design, results-based offers, client acquisition systems, pricing optimization, operations, and then later 2 additional steps are enterprise acquisition and exit simulation. And those last 2 steps came way further down the road for me, but they became a very big part of my journey. And a real turning point for me came when I decided to stop working with gyms and started working with chiropractors. And I kind of exploded. 15 to 20 chiropractors, all word of mouth, ended up reaching out to me and wanting to work with me. And I got overwhelmed. Their results slipped. People got upset with me. And that's when it hit me. I could no longer hustle my way to more money. I had maxed out my personal capacity. And it kind of stung because I wanted to grow this thing and I didn't yet have the skills or the confidence to break through. It felt like the business was telling me that I wasn't a good enough entrepreneur or ready for the next level. And I took that personally and I decided to fix it. The changes that I made after that are what took me from a small freelance shop to over $500,000 in monthly revenue. And the first thing that I did was I raised my prices so that margins were truly scalable. And then I started hiring and delegating, which forced me to build real systems and SOPs so that other people could operate the business at a consistent standard, or at my standard. I systemized fulfillment so that every client went through an assembly line process and they got consistent outcomes. And shortly after that, all my word of mouth referrals completely dried up. I had systems and I had the capacity to grow, but now I didn't have a sales pipeline anymore, or my sales pipeline just kind of ended. So I decided that I was going to build systems around reliable acquisition, a system that brought me in 5, 15, even 20 new high ticket clients every single month. And then it really went from being a side hustle into a real business. And the big realization was simple. Every part of the business needed systems: acquisition, fulfillment, operations, finance. Without that, you're just trading time for money. And that's why so many agency owners burn out. They don't know how to make the transition. They are hesitant to reinvest, and most don't even know where to start. And so one unique thing we did in my agency was I did deep market research for every new client we took on. I wanted to understand their business so that we can run their ads the right way. And I worried at the time that no one else would do it like I did. So I decided to turn that into a process. I built a market analysis program, which was a 3-step research flow that dictated ad spend, the type of offer we'd run for clients, the radius, demographics, all of that. And what started as something that only I could do became an internal system and eventually a part of our unique mechanism. And that same process is part of what I now install inside of all my agencies and all the agencies that I work with today. And so that was something unique that we did, and it proved to me that I didn't need to be in every aspect of the business. And so eventually, over time, I scaled this agency to over $500,000 a month, and I decided that I wanted to sell it. And I didn't decide that I wanted to sell it because I was burnt out or stuck. It was a strategic decision. I planned my exit while we were performing at our highest level, not when the agency was falling apart or I thought the end was near. And that ended up making a real difference in my exit. And even though I had strong revenue and I had a big team, the business still had parts of it that depended too much on me. And at this point, I got very clear on what enterprise value meant, why it matters more than just top line revenue, and why buyers don't want to buy a person. They want to buy a machine. One of the first questions that I was asked in a negotiation is, what happens if you disappear, Gil? And my first answer was, well, the business will be fine. I've went on vacations for 2 weeks. And they asked, what about 2 months or 2 years? And I didn't really have a solid answer because I didn't know, because I have never been away that long, right? So I decided to kind of go back to the drawing board, and I started pulling myself out of the business for extended periods of time, not just to test the team, but to expose what broke when I wasn't there. Every crack or everything that went wrong showed me what needed to change or what needed to be fixed. And through literally dozens of buyer conversations, I learned exactly what they were looking for. They wanted predictable revenue, consistent new sales month over month, systems that don't rely on any one person, including me, definitely not me, clean financials, and sustainable operations. Investors or buyers are buying predictability. They look at historical data and analytics the same way that they would with the stock market or a stock or a real estate building. So I made sure that I could show it. Consistent profit over a 12-month period. They like to see a strong trailing 12-month EBITDA, stable operating expenses, no over-reliance on one single client or no saturation of revenue in one client, and a business that remains sustainable even when external market conditions shift. It's not about quick money or flashy profit margins. It's about the integrity of the business, stability, and the ability to operate independent of people. That is the graduation from a freelancer or even a small operator into a true business owner. And so eventually when I did sell, it was an emotional experience. I loved my business. I put in late nights, early mornings, everything that I had went into it. And it felt like I was letting go of something very personal, right? Like a kid, a child. But I kept coming back to what entrepreneurship means to me. Once you have stability, financial freedom, the real question is whether you're willing to play the game at a higher level. And for me, the decision was keep scaling and just keep pulling more cash from the business, or sell it while it was a valuable asset, take a multi-million-dollar payday or outcome, and then redeploy that capital, those resources, into a bigger opportunity vehicle. And that's why I ended up selling, and I started Limitless Capital and Limitless Agency. I wanted to help agency owners do what I did, scale their agency and sell, and also bring people together into a portfolio so that we can create larger exits as a group. I traded a business that could have paid me money forever for something that was uncertain but bigger, because that is the game for me. I wanted to play the next level, and I'm not special. Those 7 steps that I implemented in my agency that I show other agency owners today took me from a broke, failing owner of 3 gyms to a multi-millionaire with freedom and a stable family life. And I know if it worked for me, this same system can work for other agency owners too. And yes, there is something in it for me. Partnerships, portfolio, larger exits, that is the work that I enjoy now. Building, doing large deals, and helping others convert what maybe feels like a high-paying job into a real sellable asset. That's the real reason that I decided to sell my agency. So that is my story. I built an agency from zero, I scaled it to over $500,000 per month, and I sold it for millions of dollars. And the reason I sold wasn't because I wanted to quit. It was because I built something that could run without me and that made it valuable. If you are an agency owner and you want to build a scalable, sellable agency using the same 7-step system that I used, we work with agency owners to implement this exact framework and position you for a multi-million-dollar exit. Click the first link in the description now and see if you're a good fit. Or if you want to keep learning, check out this video on screen right now. YouTube thinks that you'll like it. I'll see you guys over there.